Later, it was taken for granted that the bigger the brain, the greater the intelligence. According to that theory, whales would have to be the most intelligent animals by far. Their brains can weigh up to 9 kilograms. Elephant brains weigh up to 4 kilograms. The relationship between the brain and body size isn't a useful indicator either. In shrews, the brain makes up 10% of the body weight, but these little insect eaters aren't particularly intelligent. Even the location of intelligence is contested. For a long time, scientists were convinced that it must be located in the cerebral cortex. Unlike mammals, birds don't possess a folded cerebrum. As a result, scientists were convinced for decades that birds weren't capable of intelligent actions. That's another belief scientists have had to revise, because some birds are astonishingly clever. This New Caledonian crow isn't sick, it's just molting. Using a wire, it's getting a basket with food from a pipe. It has bent the wire into a hook without any outside help. An incredible feat. A similar behavior can be observed for this bird in the wild, explains behavioral biologist Augusta van Beyen.
Using tools is still something special for animals. Most tool use is quite primitive among animals. But apes, along with corvids, which also have a large brain in relation to their body mass, are capable of very complex tool use and even of making tools. These New Caledonian crows make different kinds of tools in the wild and use them to get larvae out from tree bark. These larvae are important for their diet because they contain certain proteins.
It's possible that adult birds pass these skills onto their young. Do the young simply copy such behavior, or do they use their own intelligence? A particularly tricky experiment is needed to test this. The question is, do the animals see through a certain mechanism, or do they find the solution through trial and error? Two groups of birds are given an apparatus with a long tube. The only way they can reach the maggots is by triggering the mechanism with a stone. Neither group used the stones. In the second step, one group is given a short tube, allowing them to trigger the mechanism with their beak. The second group is given a simplified apparatus, where the stone is already right next to the tube. That means the mechanism could easily be triggered by accident while the bird is having a look. Nevertheless, in the third experiment, the birds who were previously only able to trigger the mechanism with their beaks immediately used the stones to get to the maggots.
They've understood that a falling stone can exert a force and can trigger the mechanism for them. It's an enormous mental leap.
A further act of intelligence is that of forming categories. That means distinguishing and grouping things according to their properties. At a research institute for agricultural animals near the North German town of Rostock, goats are proving that they're capable of that. A special apparatus has been set up in this shed. The device is screened from the other animals so that the test goat can't be distracted. Only one goat will fit into it at any one time. This experiment is about putting pictures into categories. There are always 4 pictures on offer. One of them has a white area in the middle and is considered the correct choice of the 4. When the goat presses the corresponding button, there's a reward in the form of a drink. The concepts of correct and incorrect are also linked with different sounds. This initially caused problems. Some goats waited outside until they heard the correct sound, and then they chased the test animal away. The screen with the buttons was developed specially for goats. They weren't interested in touch screens. The goal of behavioral biologist